thinking about this with the economy, or been reading about this on the census or whatever, that you're able just to automatically drop it on there and alert people as to a position you may have, or just start a dialogue process. And what I have found is that one of the biggest reasons people are so cynical about politics today is because they deem politicians so inaccessible. They can't get in touch with them. I hear this all the time from constituents. They'll go, "Cam, we appreciate you getting back in touch with us," or "I got an email immediately from the BlackBerry." They feel like, well, I've got an issue, but I can't call my legislator or my congressman or representative, and the reason I can't is because I'm not going to get a call back.
Sure.
They're not going to contact me back. Doing this online through social networking, doing it online through a blog, or just simply return your BlackBerry emails, people feel like, wow, he's sitting here listening to me, and I can drop him a line and he's going to get right back to me, or I can see what he stands for right here on this blog. And I think it's changing everything. I think it's going to change the dynamics of how we do politics. I mean, really, how we do politics, because I think in the future, even in places like Alabama, which you might not have as much, we don't have as much internet savvy,
right,
as you say. What you're going to find is candidates of the future are going to be expected to have Facebook pages, so-called, or they're going to be expected to have a blog. They're going to be expected to have a full range of website capabilities, such as YouTube. I mean,
yeah,
they're going to be expected to do that because your constituents are able to do it, so they're going to say, I expect my leaders to be able to do it as well, too.
Do you think that same access to the legislator, the congressman, the city council will go over into the state house, where they open that up more for streaming media, or twittering on the House floor, or whatever that is?
That's an interesting debate, because that's come up with a few states with regard to credentialing of the media. Who do we credential and who do we not credential?
Yeah.
I think you're going to have to. I think you're going to have to start credentialing these groups. Already, I post several of my blogs from the floor of the House. I have a laptop. Sometimes some of these debates get long and mindless, but I will sit there and actually blog on a particular issue that we're dealing with that day. I'll blog from the floor of the House. And I'll have constituents actually post something back to me while I'm blogging from the floor of the House. It really changes dynamics a lot, because, again, I'm down here in Montgomery a lot, but I can be right there in Alabaster, Helena, or Bibb County anytime with regard to the internet.
I mean, you're representing your county, but if you're away from your county and you can be here and having contact with them, that's what's...
They get to continue participating in the debate, continue participating in the dialogue the whole time I'm down here. So I think that's the benefit of it. That's the real benefit.
Well, there's so much going on tonight. I know you've got a debate tonight with Congressman Artur Davis about the presidential election coming up, but I may know your side of it, but what do you really foresee happening on Election Day come November 4th?
Well, this election is going back and forth. We started with it being a foreign policy election. We went to an energy and gas election, and now we're on an economy election. I think obviously we realize it is an uphill climb for John McCain. But unlike many people, I don't want to let the pollsters determine who's going to be president. I want to make sure we see how the voters feel about it. I think there are two things we know we're going to see for sure. One, we're going to see a huge, huge turnout. Now, maybe they turn out for my candidate, maybe they don't, but I think it's a good, healthy thing that we are going to see a huge turnout, particularly among the young voters. And second, I think we're going to see a race that may be a little bit closer than some of the pundits have said. I hope John McCain wins. I realize it's an uphill climb, but I think the key factor will be the turnout and who's turning out actually for the election.
And you mentioned the economy right off the bat in your thing. How do you see the economy? I mean, who knows if we're at the bottom of the U, but how do you see the economy in the next 6 months, a year, 2 years?
It's the biggest concern we have, and it's having an effect here in state government. I mean, you look at, for example, in 2007, we had a 3.7% unemployment. Today, it's 4.9%. Economists are now saying in Alabama by March of next year, we're going to be at 5.5%. And while we're better than many of our neighbors, that's still a huge problem. And what it's all coming back to is this issue of consumer spending. Consumer spending supports 2/3 of the United States economy. 2/3. And when people are scared and they don't make as much money, or they're worried about spending more on gas, they spend less. So that means 2/3 of our economy is down. I would predict the next 2 years are going to probably be a very tough economy because of the lack of spending, of the lack of individual spending. So yeah, I think we're going to have a very tough time the next 2 years. Whoever becomes president of the United States will have a very short honeymoon as a result of it.
That is the truth. Now, what about besides the economy? What are your constituents talking to you about as some of their primary concerns?
Well, they talk about the economy, of course, first and foremost, but second, they talk about gas prices. There is still concern out there about gas prices, and gas prices are going to be one of those issues that not only affect the person who's driving to and from work every day, but it was, as we've seen, it affects grocery prices, and it affects everything else in their day-to-day life as to what they're spending and buying. Other issues that I hear about are really way down the ladder right now compared to that. You still hear the issue of immigration quite a bit. You do hear a concern about people's taxes going up. Of course, they don't want that right now in tough economic times. But again, everything kind of revolves back into the economy.
And I think as a final question, what do you think will be the biggest challenge facing the Alabama legislature here in this coming session?
Oh, without a doubt, it's going to be our budgets. I was just talking with someone earlier. We had right now they're projecting a 2.4% increase in our budget. And that sounds like a lot, but last year it was 6%, and before that we had budget increases of 10, 11%. This will be the first year ever that we actually see sales tax revenues decline over the year before. So I think what it's going to present is a huge challenge with regard to education. How do we fund Medicaid? Because those items are skyrocketing to the roof, but you have less revenue coming to pay for them. So that's, hands down, that'll be the biggest issue we face.
I think so. And then just one last thought about the internet and the web, and how have you been able to use Politics for All in getting your message out?
Well, quite simple. I'm able to put my positions, my issues out there, and put it out there for everyone to see, and at the same time allow people to comment on it and have an ongoing debate or dialogue on whatever issue I want to. It also allows me as a candidate not to rely, or as a legislator right now, to rely on a third party to determine what I will and won't say out there, such as a mainstream media, newspaper, or TV. I get to go out anytime I want to and talk about it, and if someone's interested or if my topic is interesting enough, then they can pull it up right there and look at it. And if it's not, then perhaps that's not what anyone wants to talk to. But there's no filter by using your policies and actually using your system. The best part about it is that I can put whatever I want to on there, and then people can judge for themselves as to the kind of legislator you're being.
And Alabama Representative Cam Moore, we thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate the interview.